Preparing to live stream the meeting. Setting up your meeting for custom streaming service.
I am giving my consent.
Done. Redirecting to the live stream. This is Ice Cream for Everyone and James D'Souza.
So presumably we're live, maybe.
This meeting is being live streamed.
Yeah. So now I go, okay. So however, I think
that
it's just picked up the old title that I had before. So the title is How Much Money
have you made from making your podcast?
Let's change that.
You can change that. It is live though. We are live.
Yes. What do we call it? We said we don't have a name, so creative something.
Well, yeah, it was a riff on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and it became James and Willem's Creative Adventure. I know how much you love Bill and Ted, Willem.
Yes, exactly.
Which is nothing at all. Zero love for Bill and Ted.
We'll just call creative sessions for now.
Yeah, all right, that's cool. I'm happy with that. Willem, James.
James and Willem's creative sessions.
I'm cool with that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Is it changed?
Description, I don't know. Let's save.
Well, people are happy. I'm happy.
Are people happy?
People are always happy, aren't they? Even in these COVID times.
Great. Should we,
James and Willem's creative sessions started streaming 83 seconds ago.
What category is this? People in blogs. I think it's no longer education.
Yeah, it is. Well, we're very learned, wise people, so everyone's going to be educated by us.
Yes. There you go. Okay, so we're live now. Wow. Okay. Cool.
It worked. This is a learning experience, as always.
Yeah, because we're doing it differently from last time, where we've custom. Anyway, who cares?
Well, I care because it's no longer teaching tangents. We are now here for the creative sessions.
Yes.
And for those of you watching or rewatching, whether you're drunk or whatever has led you to this, because my one pupil and one ex-pupil said they watched it when they were drunk. So who knows what happens next.
And I was just talking about the fact that I finished watching Drunk, or Another Round. It's been translated in English weirdly.
Yeah, it is called Another Round.
French, on the French, anyway, Danish movie with Mads Mikkelsen, where 4 teacher friends, middle-aged, are testing the theory that says we have a permanent lack of 0.05 degrees of alcohol in our body, and we should have a little bit more. And it's a great movie. I finished watching it yesterday. It's really, really good.
And that's because 2022 really is the reason we're doing it. This format now is to support our creativity, productivity, exploration, writing, actually doing stuff in reality.
Yes, and we're testing this. We're just really completely riffing on the idea that we really enjoy talking to one another.
Yep.
We are not going to make efforts to promote this show, but we kind of like the fact that it's live and or recorded. And the minimal effort is just to do it live.
Because I noticed for myself, the fact we're live caused a state change in me actually talking and being here.
Yes. And even we're both completely fine if nobody ever watches, or one or two drunk students or drunk people on YouTube. And we don't really, but we do enjoy talking like somebody's listening. So like the state changes, you're talking to an audience. No,
it's a good point. It's a great point. Yes, I think you're right. And I think that's also the difference, also true of my writing. Well, anything I put out there, which is risky, I've had my blog for years. I don't know if anybody reads it. And then suddenly a random student will come up to me and go, "Oh, I found your blog."
Yeah.
Or more likely, this is. I don't think I've told you this. So my students Google me.
Yeah.
And what do they find? They find random Amazon reviews that I did 8 years ago. They don't find
Wow.
the stuff about me in the Guardian or on BBC News or on like the cool stuff, or they don't find my YouTube channel. They find a random Amazon review.
What kind of Amazon review have they
So
found?
they found an Amazon review of some foot massage oil that I did, and it's really good foot massage oil. I highly recommend it to everybody.
Do you write Amazon reviews on a regular basis?
No, but that's what they found. It's so
Okay.
stupid.
Oh, and by the
But
way, so we said, just to give ourselves should we just say what the theme is? The broad theme for this episode?
what is the broad theme for this episode?
Well,
I
yesterday
don't
we said the
remember.
creative process.
Oh, we
The
did.
writing
Okay.
writing
Yeah, yeah.
process. Writing
Writing. Yeah,
process.
we did. Yes, the writing process. Yes.
Okay. So it's good. So I mean, it's relevant that we talk about both Amazon reviews, blog posts, and whatever else we're going to
Yeah,
talk about.
but I got a bit annoyed that that's what they found. They didn't find my blog. Is this Google's algorithm?
I don't know. Did you share your blog after that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's just the fact it was foot massage oil.
They probably also were, regardless of whatever they found first, went out of their way to find that.
That's true.
I mean,
They might have. Or looking for stupid stuff about their teachers.
yeah. Just, specifically said, "Ooh, let's look at his Amazon reviews," rather than, his blog posts about masculinity or, any of the deep stuff that you wrote about, or your collages.
All my collages. Although I have shown my collages that the students were shocked and impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I was very proud of.
We can reserve
So-
collages for another episode.
Oh, that's a good
And
idea.
I don't know if we should have themes or not, but I thought, it did work in other episodes that we had like one general thing to go on tangents from.
Oh yeah, that was the point. So I did want to ask you,
Yeah.
since we last have gone live, you've written 2 articles
Yeah.
and you've
In
done
French.
in French, you've done some writing.
Yeah.
How many articles in French did you write in 2021?
One. So already doubled.
This is the point. This is the point.
But I wrote one, which is, it was a good article, but it's one that took several hours, like 4 to 6 hours, that started out on something simple, but then I went like quite a lot more elaborate than I thought I would.
And this
the
is
objective
2021.
for this is 2021. I
Yeah.
wrote that in May. Funny enough, because I wrote another article on Friday, some other people found the article from 9 months ago, which is funny. I don't know how that works, just the algorithm. And the idea here was that we talked about, okay, what do I need to do to keep promoting myself and on the French market, probably in French, ideally both French and English, but it just takes twice as much time to do all the time. So I thought, okay, I'll write one article per week with the objective of taking just 1 hour to write it. So it won't be as deep or detailed as what I think it should be, but it will be something that I publish every week.
The time constraint.
So the time
makes a big
constraint was
difference.
important. To be honest, this week I went over. I almost did 2 hours, but it was still, the objective was to do it as fast as possible. And it's not, both of those articles are not at all as coming to any kind of conclusions as I think it should, but it is mixing things together. So the first article was talking about the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. Microsoft acquired and became the 3rd largest video game corporation in the world by acquiring Activision Blizzard King, makers of Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and Candy Crush, etc., for $68 billion, 67.6 or something like that. $68 billion. It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And the same day I saw the news, that was the same day that was announced, and I think it was the day before, but I saw them both on the same day. Oxfam's new global inequality report was published. I made a parallel between the fact that more yachts have been sold than ever, and more the billionaires. There's more billionaires, and billionaires are growing richer than ever. But also hundreds of millions of people more than a year ago are going hungry. But, fear not, because they'll have virtual worlds and video games to play while they go hungry, in shorts. And this Friday, I wrote something that's a little bit more ambitious, but
just before you go into that,
sorry.
I do want to say,
go ahead.
One of the things I think that you're really good at,
talk about processes, but
but which we will come back to, I'm sure. One of the things I think you're really good at, and that I really like doing, is joining ideas together or joining things that seem completely unrelated together to make a point. Because I think you find this, because I know I do. Sometimes I will say, I will read something and then I'll read something else. And to me, it's really obvious. The two link, it's really obvious. It's like, yeah. And everyone goes, what are you talking about? Can you explain that? And then I go, well, it's obvious. Like it's this. And they go, okay, that's quite cool. Yeah. And the things that are obvious, the point I'm making is the things that are obvious to us, the ideas that we have and how we write them down, we think that it's nothing. Other people think it's great. So I'm really glad to hear that you put these two things together that I don't think many people would connect.
No, you're right. And I was thinking this is just done in an hour. It's completely unworthy because, of course, everybody knows about the deal that Microsoft bought these companies. But then I published it on LinkedIn and some people are like, oh, I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm like, okay. So just even though it has, anyway, the point was I did it in an hour and a bit. And it's out there and it's not at all what I wanted it to be, but I do enjoy very much linking things together. And so in terms of process, by the way, so while we're at it, my process in this particular case is something that I don't usually do, which is what we had talked about, to do it under time constraint. And I think it's good to do that under time constraint so that I publish it every week and this is purely like to build my presence in the French speaking market and on professional contacts on LinkedIn to be there, with the idea of generating potential leads and business and being noticed and remembered and like that. So I don't want to spend too much time on it. And in this case, I have an hour in my schedule that is dedicated to that I usually plan at the beginning of a week, depending on what else I have going on. Nice. It's only brand new, only did it twice. I mean, it's been 3 weeks ago, we said that I would do that. So it was mid-January.
You had 2 weeks away on holiday.
Then I was on holidays and then I did it again this week. So
nice.
The process was, okay, I have it in my schedule. I don't know what I'm going to write. I'm going to write something related to brand strategy, brands, news, business news. And so I open a bunch of tabs with the news. That's what I do, just open a bunch of tabs.
I'm laughing because you've probably got about 60 tabs open right now.
I do. Yes. Of course. With articles I'll read one day never, probably. And a bunch of other things. So I'll open French and English. Mostly English, but I'm trying to force myself to open French stuff because it's in French and I want to have more French references, although it's also good that I have international references in there. I think it's good for the French people who read it, I think. And I'll open, advertising and marketing news. I'll open campaign, ad week, ad age, stratégie, which is the French one, or one of the French ones. Open, and then I'll go random. I'll open Google News. I'll open The Guardian, The Atlantic, TechCrunch, Gizmodo, Ars Technica, etc. I'll open The Verge. I'll open what else? I'll open. I'll look at what Pocket has got because I have a Pocket extension in my browser, and so it just recommends articles.
I didn't know Pocket did that because I know Pocket is linked to Mozilla Firefox. Which I only found out recently.
Yeah, there's a Chrome extension as well. I'm not really using Pocket very well at all, nor am I using One Tab very well at all. Aside from just, I don't know. Let's find out.
So you my go One and tab you look at all of this stuff.
My One Tab has 3,087 tabs saved. One tab is when because I have Tobitis, tabitis, I think. Anyway, one tab is a thing. It's an extension, and you could just save all your tabs into one tab and find them later. So for all the articles, all the articles. Huh?
You got 3,000 tabs in your one tab.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling to comprehend that.
And this is just
no, stop. What have you got in one tab? What's in the top 5 things in your one tab? What are the top 5?
A lot of the recurring stuff, because I just save everything in one go.
Yeah.
It's just the top is the latest set of tabs I saved. So on the 19th of January, I saved 24 tabs. Because that's just they only has one thing. It has one button, and you click the button, and it saves all your tabs. That's all it does. So I have
it's too much information for me.
Gmail, a crowdfunding campaign from one of my clients.
Okay.
A Google Slides of one of the Google Slides of the French podcast I do with the French strategy working group.
Okay.
A page of CES 2022 on auto, key trends of CES 2022, modules from this is slides from the school I work for, another Google Slides, another thing for work, a thing on love in the metaverse, which was a trend from an advertising agency.
So you've got
email.
You've got all
Austria's vaccine mandate to apply from February 1st. It's an article on Politico. UCPA community, which is the organization I went skiing with. Political article, a video on Oxfam's inequality report.
So you've got all this stuff in one tab. You've got all the tabs you've got open now. So what your process is to just let your, it sounds like you just let your brain explode onto tabs and then go from there.
Yeah, which is very much so. In writing, and when I did NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Month.
Oh yeah.
There's two broad tendencies on writing process. There's they call them the architects and the gardeners, I think, or the planners and anyway.
Okay, all right.
So everybody, all writers do a bit of both somehow, but you trend towards one. So architects are planners. You plan in advance. This is what I'm going to write. This is the structure. This is the plot. These are the characters. This is the order it's going to go in, whatever that happens. Yeah. And then the other side completely, which is just let's start writing and see what happens.
Yeah.
Which I'm a lot more on that end, unsurprisingly. I don't know if it's surprising or not, actually.
It's unsurprising that you'll just write and see where it goes.
Yeah.
That's not surprising.
Yeah.
And okay. So when you were writing this article about Oxfam and whatever, what you did was you had that hour scheduled, and then you just opened those tabs and then
looked at what was going on that was interesting.
Okay. And then that was it.
Yeah.
Wrote the article.
I wrote it quickly. Quick for me anyway. And as I said, nowhere near as developed or thinking or giving answers as I would have liked. But short and pithy. Just pithy, under the circumstances. The same for the one on Friday. That was a little bit more ambitious because it was Olympic Games, and I had to read a few more things on brand sponsorship, Olympic Games, the amount of controversy surrounding the Olympic Games. That normally the Olympic Games are massive opportunities for brands to make a lot of noise. But right now, a lot of the noise is around climate worry, around the fact that there's no snow and all the snow is man-made, which I discovered, by the way. Have you seen any of that stuff?
No, I haven't. And you're talking about Winter Olympics, right?
Yeah, the one that just started.
Yeah. Which I have not paid any attention to. I heard about it, but I'm done.
I started watching the opening ceremony. I managed to publish my article 5 minutes before the beginning of the opening ceremony, and I was, when I started looking at what's going on today, and I was like, well, of course the Olympics are going on, and it's a big brand opportunity. But I also know there's a lot of controversies with China, the Uyghurs. And a lot of other reasons surrounding the Olympics. and rightly so, a lot of the global brand sponsors are being very quiet about these Olympics globally.
And is this what you wrote about in your article?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. I think what you're doing is brilliant. I think it's great, and you've already gone from one article in 2021, the entire year, to two in about 2 months.
Yeah,
1 month even. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
I'm going to keep doing that every week for sure. I'd like to do more in English. I'd like to publish in my website. I need to redo my website. Anyway, those are by the by. We'll come back to that. We can do that another time.
The other point I want to make
other point is to writing my short story. Is that what you want?
Yeah. Before you get to short story,
okay, sure.
I was listening to James Clear. I admit I'm a fanboy. I keep saying this to everybody. I think his stuff's great, and
I need to keep reading Atomic Habits.
He was on, I don't know what podcast it was, but he said that writing is about ideas, and what allows him to write and what allows him to get ideas is reading. So
sure,
as long as he's doing quality reading, and he sets up his life so he's doing quality reading, be it books or articles or whatever, that means he's going to have something to write about. Because I really like his newsletter. There's a few newsletters that I read every week. His is one of them. Tim Ferriss's 5 Bullet Friday is another one that I read because of the sheer randomness of it. I really like it. And he says that he does this really interesting thing, which you might like. He uses Twitter quite a lot. I don't know how much you use Twitter. You don't use Twitter that much anymore, do you?
I really seriously quieted down my use of Twitter. Yeah,
me too. I stopped using it as well.
I still want to Tokimeki unfollow Marie Kondo my Twitter feed, which I started. I only went through 1,000 to 1,500 people I follow. It's called Tokimeki unfollow, and it's basically a thing to kind of Marie Kondo your Twitter feed.
Now, it
shows you one by one, like these are the people you're following. Do you want to unfollow them or not? And I need to reorganize, just in this idea that the algorithms of the social media things are going to serve you what you've got. Yeah. And these days, I am kind of like a little bit bored of but I'm bored of the general feel of most Twitter anyway. So. Yeah.
Now, what James Clear says he does is he does what you just said. He goes through his Twitter feed and he curates what he wants to see, and then he actually referred to it as bulking and cutting, using the whole idea of like fitness. So he'll deliberately follow loads of people, look through it all, then deliberately cut down.
How does he spend doing that?
I don't know. I don't know.
It sounds like, I probably spend way too much time doing that, but like going through 1,500 people that I started following, and I started Twitter 2007. It's just taking ridiculous amounts of time to just go through 100 people.
Yeah. I do it on instinct. So I do this semi-regularly on Instagram and Twitter as well. Just unfollow a bunch of people and then keep the ones I want, and then try and curate. But his process is very much select who you want to follow, curate what you want to read, and then dip in and out to get ideas. And he does that with he has books he's reading as well. But the point is, what he's reading is going to give him ideas, which gives him stuff to write about, and that's how he does it. So I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, cool. Totally.
So, but I really like what you're saying about the tab splurge, and then see ideas and then write and give yourself a time limit. Is there a particular time of day that you find that you're doing that hour, or is it just whenever
whenever it seems convenient? I actually did think this week about deep work and the fact that I should get back to those practices of really scheduling a block probably in the morning when I'm fresh, and like prioritize what do I do with a block of deep work. Probably include that in there. In this case, I wrote it in the afternoon because I had stuff I needed to finish in the morning. I don't know. It depends. I don't have a...
Okay. Because when it comes to habit stuff, I've been playing guitar. I rebuilt my guitar playing thing. And I was really inconsistent last year. And then from the beginning of the year, I started off small, playing one scale, like for 2 minutes. And then I was doing that regularly, and then I fitted it into my routine. So I come back from work,
Mm.
I change out of my work clothes, and then I play guitar.
Okay.
For some reason, that has really stuck. I have in the room just over there, I have a corner with my seat and my guitar and my plectrum out, and it's really, really working. I have been playing every day,
That's great.
and it's really, really good. There's a really
Your routine helps you to do that.
yeah, it does.
The
It
fact
really,
that I
really does.
don't have much of a routine. I mean, I do, and I don't.
Yeah. Well, you're meditating every day.
Yeah, I tend to meditate in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
first thing, and then writing. Writing has been, aside from these articles, my
Yeah.
writing of a short story, which is
Oh
another
yeah.
promise
So
I made
yeah.
to you, is going quickly. Is going out of the door.
Okay.
Well, so this is, I am maintaining it just by a thread. So I have a daily notification at 6 p.m. to write my journal.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually write it at the end of the day. I usually either write it around that time if I have a gap, or before bedtime later, or somewhere in between, depending.
The
Um,
journal or the short story
the
or
journal,
both?
but in the journal, I have a thing about have I written,
You do. You have a
and
series of
then I'm like, oh,
questions.
I didn't write anything, even though regardless of whether I scheduled time to do writing of the short story, but you typically this week I had scheduled time and then it went out the window, doing other things. And
So what made
at that point, I would
yeah
at the very least add one sentence just to say I've added one sentence as like an atomic
yeah
habit thing.
yeah
And saying, okay, I need to spend more time writing it at some point, but right now I've just added one sentence as a minimal. So
still
I'm doing
works.
the minimal work. Well, ish, because I have 3 more weeks to finish it, and I'm nowhere near finished. So I need to put in more time.
I see. Okay. Because the
I
thing
said
that
I would
made
finish the first draft by the 27th.
I had totally forgotten about that. But the thing that made the difference for me with the guitar, I tried all that stuff. I would schedule, I would put it in, none of it worked. It was only when I consciously linked it to the act of changing out of my work clothes that it started to stick. So
Yeah.
I do wonder if there's something
Oh,
that
I need something else for sure.
clunk that would make the writing go clunk, because you do it with the meditation, you do it with the journaling, and you do it with I don't know, brushing your teeth. Maybe you don't brush your teeth.
Yes, I do brush my teeth.
I'm assuming you brush your teeth. Like
I don't always floss regularly. I was flossing very regularly, like 3 times a week, and now I'm down to one, and I need to get back up to 3.
what's really, this is sad. I can't sleep unless I have to floss in the night. I can't sleep if I haven't flossed.
No, it's not sad actually. It's good.
It's become it's so I feel yucky if I haven't. It's got to that stage.
Good.
I don't know how that got, and sometimes I do it without
I
even
could
thinking in
switch
the morning.
flossing to the evening. I tend to do it in the morning, but then I run out of time, and then I move it to the following day, and yeah.
So I think it's the same idea with writing. I think it's the same certainly with my guitar, linking it to that act of changing my clothes has worked. And then also I told Davina, this is what I'm going to be doing. After I've got changed, I'm going to play guitar. She was like, okay, cool.
How long do you spend playing the guitar now?
So at minimal, I'll play one scale.
How long does that take? 5 minutes, 2 minutes, a minute?
That'll take maybe 2 minutes.
Okay.
On average, I end up playing more. I end up playing
like
at least
15.
Yeah, 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
Whereas where I started was I was saying to myself, my habit is to play at least 15 minutes every day, and then it wasn't happening. I was missing it. It's just not happening. So I started small first, and then the habit of turning up and then wedging it into I've changed my clothes, so I'm going to go play guitar, and then having it in the corner set up.
Yeah.
Even little things like having my plectrum on top of the amplifier, because before I was putting it in the box, and then I'd have to hunt around in the box to get my plectrum out. I was like, I'll just leave it out. It's there. So little things like that make a shockingly big difference to just being able to play guitar. So
yeah,
I think it's the same with writing.
Probably. I do everything with my one laptop, so I don't know what I could do with that. Yesterday I was reading my, so it's related, because I do feel it's related to my writing practice, because I'm reading my cousin's novel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's not writing, but it is reading somebody else's writing, and it's encouraging me to write as well. And so anyway, I'll look for what I could do from a habits perspective to do that. I actually keep writing. I haven't read more of Atomic Habits. I'm still at the beginning of the book. And the other thing is, even though I said, unsurprisingly, I tend to be like more of the gardener of like planting. So the gardener is like, you just start stuff, you plant stuff. I have ideas and I write shit about it. I write a bit. But it's really difficult for them, which is ironic, because I'm a planner as for work. But it also, I mean, don't tell anybody, but it tells you a lot of the fallacy of me being a planner. I am and I'm not. So in this short story, I wrote a bunch. I just went off with an idea. And for everybody else, because we had the conversation together, James, and we didn't broadcast it for if anybody's watching this. The idea is I want to spend, as we said, more time writing this year. And I do write a lot. I am quite reliable for finishing articles and blog posts, but I want to write fiction. And I have said my whole life that I aspire to write, and I have never finished anything. So fiction. I said fiction. I mean, I've finished articles of nonfiction. I've not finished anything bigger than that.
So when you say short story, what for you is a short story?
What do you mean?
How long is a short story?
I didn't even say short story. I'm just saying it now.
Okay.
We talked about it. Anyway, I said I would finish a short story.
By February.
By February, I would have a first draft by February 27th. And that the first challenge is not only just to write, but is to finish something.
Okay.
Because that would be a major accomplishment for me to say, okay, this thing, it still needs work beyond the first draft, but I have something that's legible and I have something that's finished. So now to answer your question, what does that mean? What do you mean by that? The length?
Yeah.
I don't have that in mind.
Okay.
I really just said, okay, well, what do I need to do? I have a writing practice. I have ambitions of a novel and a nonfiction book, but I've never finished anything beyond a 2,000 or 1,500 word article. So fiction-wise, I will write a short story. It doesn't have to be long. It has to be done.
The only reason
I started something random as I do. I was like, all right, what am I writing? Let's write something.
Yeah.
And I have ideas all the time. So ideas are not,
it's not a problem for you.
Not a problem just at all. I have no idea I don't really know what I'm writing just yet. I wrote a few paragraphs and I'm still at the beginning. I think I'm still at the beginning, and now I'm like, okay, I need to progress. I did spend a bit of time while I was on holidays, actually. I thought, okay, now I have some text. I think I have a beginning of where things are going vaguely, but let's plan a little bit. So I thought, okay, let's switch over and look at planning. Think about, okay, what's the beginning, middle, and end of this thing? And ending is where I have the most trouble.
Right.
I don't feel nothing is good enough.
Right.
But I thought, okay, maybe I'll just do something that I think is not good enough.
Yeah.
For the sake of finishing it.
Okay. Now, what was
not there yet? I don't know what your questions are, but
no. Well, you see, the reason I was asking the question is because should I just write a short story of my own with you for fun?
Together?
Not together, so that you're writing yours, I'm writing mine, and then we share it on the 27th, just to kind of add some momentum to your writing.
Yeah, why not? And to finish by the 27th, I either need to increase the amount of time I'm working on my thing, or probably both. Decrease the ambition a bit, because immediately it's taking a lot. It seems to be going a bit ambitious. And I
Oh, do you
don't know
think?
about the
Okay.
length. I don't know about the length. I mean,
That's why I asked about the length, because I was like,
I
okay,
don't have a set length. I just said, okay, it's going to be a short story,
okay.
not very
The,
long. I don't know.
I just Googled the 3 types of writer: architect, gardener, and commander.
Oh,
That's a
commander? I don't know the commander.
that's a Medium article. If you know your writers, architects, change makers, planning, execution, blueprint, clear vision, gardeners, ponder upon the thoughts, take time to indulge in the process rather than the outcome, nurture their work, ready for the mystery, keep a record of knowledge and build upon it. This does sound like you. Commanders, trained for uncertainty. They make no excuses when it comes to training daily. They are disciplined, always ready for emergency strikes. They can't wait like a gardener, nor can they visualize an end goal like an architect. So, and it gives
That's
examples.
strange because I mean, that's interesting. But most other articles along the same vein I've read usually place you on a spectrum between gardener and architect, but that regardless of whether which one of them you are, one way or another, you need to have the discipline of writing.
Yeah.
And that sounds like what the commander is, which is weird because, you know, whether you're more of a gardener or more of an architect, you need to spend time writing. Otherwise, you're not a writer.
The War of Art goes into that a lot, which I thought was a great book.
I want to read that as well.
It's super easy. It's really, you pick it up, put it down. It's so easy to read. It's written like short chunks. And he talks really well about that writing process. But writers as architects, the examples that gives in this article are examples of tech, non-fiction, report writing, writers as gardeners, fiction, artists, illustrators, writers as commanders, pharmacists, engineers, lawyers, physicians, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I have a particular process that I use. It really helps me at school that I invented to help the pupils at school write essays.
Okay.
Because they'll write an essay, but what I started doing was we'd pick an essay question and then we'd all write it. They'd write it, I'd write it, but we'd plan it together.
Yeah.
So I found that when I have a question that I'm trying to answer, or I have a clear idea of what I want to write, I can write, and it ends. My thing is, if I don't even start, it ain't gonna happen. There's the last part of my whole cancer journey that I've been saying I'm going to write and I haven't written. Actually, maybe I should commit to doing that by the 27th instead of writing a short story. That would be better.
Yeah.
I've been saying, I'm going to write it. I haven't done anything. And because I can't start. I don't want to start.
I have a series of articles that I started in 2020 that I still haven't finished, by the way.
Okay. Well, maybe that'll be the next thing we'll look at. But the process for me is look at the question. And this is what I tell the kids to do, but I use it myself, whatever I'm doing. Look at the question, pick out the terminology in the question. It might be business words in the question. Do a brainstorm on each of those words. Then work out what are the main points that I want to make. Then, and I think this is the key point, pick the overall ending point. Pick the ending point, pick the judgment, pick the whatever it is the point I want to make. And the metaphor I use with the pupils is if you don't think of your end point first, your essay is going to meander all over the shop and be rubbish.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I need to go back to what my end point is for my short story, I think. Actually.
Right. So once I pick the end point, then pick the starting point, and the starting point is usually easy for an essay. It's like define the keywords or whatever the hell it is, and then write. And what I found doing that, knowing the end point allows me to explore how I might get there. So even though I'm writing an essay, my essay might go all over the shop, but because I know the end point, it doesn't matter. And it's the same when I've written blog posts or when I'm writing about whatever idea or experience I've had. If I know the end point, I can kind of curate and garden my way there. However the hell I trust myself to get there.
Yeah, actually, that's something I could integrate in my weekly articles in French as well. Because I usually because I don't know what I'm starting with. I don't know what my end point is. And it usually comes together. But then, it's slightly different because then given the limit is, okay, how long do I take to write this? The hour is more important than the endpoint, and the publishing of something is more important than the endpoint in this particular case. So,
totally agree, because it's the same thing in class. we do it in a lesson, or
Yeah.
have a timer, or we have like half an hour. And then the stuff I put together in that short amount of time, I'll read it first and I'll be, but afterwards, I'll read it the next week. I'm like, actually, that's pretty good.
Hmm.
And then the pupils are like, how do you write this? How do you do that? How? And I say,
Practice.
practice, and because I read,
Yeah.
because
And
they
'cause they
don't
read.
want to bloody read anything. Oh, so
Sad.
yeah,
But yes,
yeah,
you should read.
yeah.
Absolutely. I'm finishing this one, which had been on my shelf for a while, which is great. Death by Neil Gaiman. It's in the Sandman universe.
Okay.
And there's actually couple of first stories. Sandman is Dream, and they're part of the Endless. They're brothers. They're anthropomorphic personifications of concepts: death, dream, destruction, desire, delirium, and what's the other one? Anyway, that's
I'm
death.
gonna I'll ask Davina to get me them all.
Sandman? You haven't read Sandman?
Nope.
Oh God. Okay. Yes. Yes, you should totally read Sandman. You're gonna love it. It's
Sorry,
gorgeous.
haven't read
Plus, there's a Netflix adaptation coming up that I am dubious but cautiously optimistic about. So we'll see. But also dubious because given how much money they put into Cowboy Bebop and canceled it immediately.
Oh,
I don't know. Sandman is. I mean, yeah. Well, actually, I don't know. Nobody could have predicted Game of Thrones to be this popular, and before it came out, a lot of people were thinking, "Well, this is very niche."
yeah.
Sandman, I tend to think the same thing. It's awesome. People will love comic stories. People will love stories. People will love beautiful art. Love Sandman, but it's not massive. And
Oh, wow. So I'm reading about it on Wikipedia. Sandman was one of the first few graphic novels to ever be on New York Times bestseller list, along with Mouse, Watchmen, and The Dark Knight Returns.
yeah,
I love Watchmen, so I'm going to ask Davina to get me Sandman, and
you should totally get Sandman. Have you finished reading Preacher?
Yeah. I finished that last year. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get onto The Boys at some point, I think. Sorry, I'm reading this actually on my reading. I'm reading Atomic Habits. I'm reading this one that I'll be finished very soon.
Mhm.
I got the first volume of 20th Century Boys in manga, and it's like a big new chunky edition that I hear he's one of the best manga writers. I can't remember his name right now. And 20th Century Boys is supposed to be a fantastic series.
Mhm.
And that author is known for, that's what my brother told me because he's a fan. He's particularly well known for weaving really complex tapestries of plot lines, and you're not clear where things are going, but he brings them all together really, really well. But
Wow.
he's taking you on a ride, and you're like, I don't know why this is related to that, but it's all fascinating. And he apparently does bring everything together really well. And I'm reading. Oh, because I don't read a lot of classics and literature, I thought I would force myself to read one. And I have never read any William Faulkner, so I'm reading Light in August. I just started it.
What else did he write? Why do I know that name?
The Sound and the Fury. He's acknowledged as one of the best literary writers ever. William Faulkner, American literature.
I've heard of the sound. I heard of the Sound and the Fury.
Representative of the Southern Gothic style or genre.
I'd probably like it a lot. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I was listening to an interview of a guy that's another book I'm reading in French, but I only just started. I haven't got back to it. And he's an author and literature guy, I suppose. Yeah. But also politics. He talks about politics. I read one of his books as an essay about politics. And at the end of the interview, part of the interview questions are like 3 books to recommend to people, and he recommended Light in August as one of the best literature books ever. So I was like, okay, great, I'll just read that. And but I have not started the first volume of The Expanse by James A. Corey. adapted as a series on Amazon, but that is supposed to be like really, really, really amazing space opera. And it's complete. There's 9 volumes, I believe. And I thought, given I just finished a big series in fantasy, I thought, okay, maybe you just try space opera. So I bought that.
And that's a novel, straight novel, not a graphic novel.
Yeah, straight novel.
Okay, all right, cool.
So yeah, that's what I've got going on. Atomic Habits, I mentioned.
I'm still
my cousin's draft. That's what I'm
doing
right now.
Yeah. I still haven't finished the Glass Bead game. I don't know. I keep dropping it. The Glass Bead game by Herman Hesse.
Oh yeah.
Which is I think Herman Hesse is quite famous. So the recommended from multiple different people. And I'm enjoying it, but it's like I'm wondering where it's going. It's really kind of odd. But
oh yeah. I've not read that.
And then I'm also reading Sway, which is non-fiction, which is about unconscious bias and looking at it from a physiological brain science point of view.
Cool.
Kind of scary how ingrained and not ingrained, how learned and quickly learned not unconscious bias, quickly learned prejudice and racism and all that kind of stuff is. But so I keep highlighting loads of stuff and then going away and thinking about it because I just stop reading and go, oh my God, it's making me think about those things. So that's taking me ages to read. But I'm really, really enjoying it, and it's relevant to my teaching, but also it's kind of feels kind of personal. So my phone was just going off then. I don't know why. So I like the idea of reading fiction and non-fiction at the same time. That's really working for me. Really working for me.
I have a little bit more books than usual on the go right now. I need to focus. But I usually have at least one fiction, one non-fiction going at the same time.
Yeah, I like that too. So it feels like we're kind of wrapping up. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So you're doing. I'm gonna. Okay. So
let me just ask you this in the past couple of minutes, because I talked about my creative process. Are you more of a planner or gardener, or how do you write?
Two extremes. Sometimes I've written stuff. I've had a complete idea from fully formed and written it from scratch. One draft, no, very, very few changes. That's happened. Other times, I think I'd be more of the planner. So if I have to force it, I'm a planner. If I get inspired, I'm a gardener. And the doing collages to help me learn to trust my creative process, because for me, I'll start and I'm like, yes, this is great. And then there's a middle bit where I'm like, this is terrible. What am I doing? And when it's terrible, I've learned to go, just keep going, and it all comes together.
Yeah.
And I found that when I'm doing collages, I'm like, this is great. Terrible, 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 terrible. Oh, actually, it comes together. And that process I've trusted with my writing. And so I think that makes a difference. But when I'm writing personal stuff, so the last part that I'm promising to write by the 27th, I overthink it, so I don't start.
Yeah, I tend to overthink stuff like that as well. Most articles I tend to overthink as well. Anyway,
but when it's an article or an essay, I'm like, I don't care. I'll just like throw it out and hope for the best. I really hope someone I'm teaching isn't watching this, because if they knew that, they'd think they'd be a bit annoyed. That's by the 27th. I will have written the last part of my cancer journey thing. So I'm pretty sure it's the last part. And you're doing your short story.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I'll share it with you.
I can't wait to read it.
Cool. All right. Should we just stop it there?
Yeah, we'll stop it there.
Great.
We're supposed to end with something profound, aren't we?
I don't know. Are we? You said we
Peace.
Didn't care. I mean,
read a book, meditate, journal.
I think we just that was not very deep or necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're the one in charge of the streaming. I can't stop it.
Am I?
Yeah.